What's good, everybody? Welcome to Bound for Success, the podcast with your host, SB. During these episodes, we will be joined by successful people from all walks of life, and we will see the common and not so common denominators that has helped them reach the pinnacle of their career. So get your pen and pad ready so you can implement these habits and live a more fulfilling life, ultimately preparing you for success across all boundaries. Now, without any more further ado, let's get right into it. We have a West Coast Conference legend in the building. University of San Diego's all-time leading scorer and three-pointers made. He's in his fifth professional season, and with the everlasting love and unwavering faith for his Savior, Lord Jesus Christ, the sky's the limit and there's nothing that this person can't accomplish. Let's welcome to the show none other than my brother, Johnny Dee. All right, man. Welcome to the podcast. I finally got my brother, Johnny Dee, after months of anticipation. So what's good, man? Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Success bound, my guy. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, very, very glad to just spend this time with you and chop it up a little bit.
Of course, man. So I know it's your day off, so I'm trying not to take too much time of your day. So it's your day off. You're in season right now in Spain. This is year 5 for us. So kind of just start by telling us where you've been at in your seasons through the years and then update on your season so far.
Yep. Obviously played high school with you back in the day at Rancho Buena Vista. Then I played college at the University of San Diego. And now I'm in my 5th year as a pro in Europe. Played 1 year in Poland, and the last 4 years have been in Spain. This is the first year I'm in the first division in Spain. So just trying to continue to get better and prove that I can play at this level.
Cool. So it's your first year in the top division. So kind of how's that going? I know your first battle was against Real Madrid, if I remember correctly. And for those who don't know about this first division, this is the same, long story short, this is the same division that Luka just came from, Luka Doncic. So you can do the math there. So just tell us how it's going for you so far.
It's been a tough start. We're one of the lower budget teams in the league, but we got a lot of guys that work hard and want to compete. So we're just trying to put it together. It's a long season, so we haven't started off too hot, but there's plenty of time to kind of turn this around and start winning some games, and hopefully for myself start playing a little better. It's been a hard off season for everybody. So I think getting into game shape and getting back into just the playing rhythm of things has taken a while. I know it has been tough on me, so I'm just trying to find my rhythm, find my confidence again, and part of the whole success bound thought process behind that is not giving up and not quitting and not losing your confidence even in the midst of adversity or tough times.
How hard is it playing with little to no fans? Do you guys have absolutely no fans, or?
We got no fans. It's part of like the Spanish law or
Gotcha.
the CDC, like the governing body. I don't think it's that weird, to be honest. And it might just be because like I'm amped up for every game because we are playing against the top competition in Europe. Like you said, Luka played at Real Madrid. Mirotic plays at Barcelona right now. I guarded a guy who got taken like top 20 the other day in the draft, Bolmera, who got traded to the Timberwolves, and then Campazzo just signed with the Nuggets. So I feel like I'm pretty ready even without the fans. Now I wish we were playing with fans because part of like the allure of playing in first division Spain is they got some of the best fans in the world. So it'd be fun to play against like Burgos's fans or Barcelona's fans or at Real Madrid when that happens.
Cool. So you mentioned that you're more or less one of the lower budget teams in Spain, but that's pretty much because you were in the second division and you won out for the last 2 seasons. So I'm about to kind of list your accomplishments. I don't know exactly which cups or those kind of things you won with Real Betis and this last team, the team that you're with right now. So kind of brief up on what you guys did in Leb Oro, I believe, and then I'll get into your list of accomplishments after that.
Yeah, I got to play 3 years in Leb Oro, which is translated just like Leb Gold or whatever. And got to win the league with both teams. And then the top two teams at half time of the season or whatever get to play in a cup game called the Princess Cup, Copa de Princesa. And been fortunate enough to be on the winning team in the last two seasons. Last year we were the first road team to win in a cup game in since the history of the cup. So that was a
That's
pretty
tough
fun
to play on the road.
experience.
It's tough to play
Yeah.
on the road. So I already
It was a
know.
packed house, and we went in to a team we already lost to there 2 weeks earlier, and went in
Wow.
and beat them, controlled the whole game. So that was a ton of fun.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna get into your list of accomplishments. I'm gonna start with high school during our glory days.
Yeah, man,
All
that
right,
was fun.
so very fun. So your senior year, I'm just gonna start with the senior season. So you averaged 32, which was number one in San Diego, and that resulted in you being first team All State, first team All CIF, League Player of the Year, numerous Player of the Week and Month awards. You have our school record for most points in a game, which you broke 3 or 4 times back to back games. It's crazy. You were RBV Male Athlete of the Year. In college at University of San Diego, you are the all-time leading scorer and 3-pointers made. You led all Division I players in free throw percentage, 95%. All West Coast Conference first team, numerous Player of the Week awards, all academic team, and all WCC freshman team. Your pro career started in 2015. You played with the Warriors Summer League team for a little bit. And like we said, you're in your 5th season being a pro now. Brief up on the NBA Summer League with the Warriors and that experience for you.
Yeah, great experience. Learned a lot of really good players, coaching staff. Just the environment in general was a ton of fun to be around, as well as kind of just made you want to keep getting better and improving. I didn't play very well. I didn't play very much at all. But it was a good lesson for me on where I need to go next with my game. Really enjoyed it. I got to play with a guy like Aaron Kraft, who just competes and knows how to win. So I feel like just watching him play and compete every day was something that I learned from. James Michael McAdoo was unbelievable, just talent level. So playing with those two guys was a good experience, as well as just kind of seeing that level and the level of athleticism even at an NBA summer league is stupid. So just shows you how good those guys in the NBA are, man. It's crazy.
So you mentioned that you didn't play your best. Honestly speaking, were you discouraged after that or not really because of what it is?
No, I mean, you can be discouraged, but what good does that do you in the long run if that's going to just make you lose confidence? So for me, it was, especially because I was still young in my career. I was 22 or 23. It was just time to move on and get better. And plus I was wanting to pursue a professional career. So that discouragement wouldn't have benefited me in any way. So no, more than anything, it just was all right, let's get back to work.
Yep. And this is only the second podcast, but with the first guest it was kind of the same thing. And I'm sure we're going to have that common denominator between all of the elite guests that I bring on this show, and that nothing discourages you guys. It's just a lesson that you're going to bounce back from. And it's only a L if you let it bring you down or you don't find a way out of it. So
that's well said, my guy.
So you started your career with that little adversity. Some would call it, some wouldn't, and you didn't get discouraged. You kept going. So I just wanted to touch on that while that was there. So speaking of adversity and success and all that good stuff, what is your definition of success and what does it mean to you?
Man, when you sent me this question, I was like, man, that is a tough question. If I'm
Right off
coming
the
on
bat.
if I'm coming on the Success Down podcast, I better have a good answer for this.
Straight up.
Man, I think this is actually a really tough question too, because I think you can define success different in each stage of life. So, for example, last year, from a team perspective, success would mean winning the league. And if we didn't win the league last year, or have the chance to win the league, because obviously COVID messed some things up, but we did win the league and go up. It would have been an unsuccessful season, no matter how well I played. And same with the year before that when I was with Real Betis. But I think when you're talking about it on more of a macro level, not like an individual season-based level, I think if you ask me, what does it mean to have a successful life? I think that's a really important question, and one that I need to continue to remind myself about, because to me, living a successful successful life would be like understanding the gifts that God has given us, or given me at the time, and kind of pursuing that, um, in whatever avenue or job or career or opportunity He's given me. And so, like, I think that changes over time, but like right now, success is like He's given me an ability to play basketball, and do it professionally. And so, success to me is not taking that for granted, not growing complacent in that, not letting discouragement, failure, or mistake, um, lose belief or confidence, and continue to press on until, you know what, the Lord says there's something else for you to do now. And so the way I measure success is am I using the gifts God has given me? Am I continually growing both in those gifts and those skills and those talents and as a person? So am I not losing integrity and character? Am I not, cheating to get a leg up? Because I think if you look in other careers, there's opportunities to cut corners or
For sure.
do things that might, show a lack of integrity and a lack of character. But I don't think that's a successful life, even if you got successful materially and with wealth and things like that. So, I know that's a long answer, but I think that's a really important question, because when I look back at the end of my life, I hope that, whatever season I was in, basically the thing being that I used the gifts God had given me, and I continued to grow. And ultimately, if you want to just quote Jesus on this, is that you found ways to encourage people and love people and serve people. Like he said, basically, like, if you want to be the greatest, be the best servant. And so I'm hoping to have an impact on people, that last longer than, the basketball, if you will.
Right. I like that. What are some habits that you feel has led you to be successful thus far in your life or career?
Yeah, I think this is a good question too. I think discipline's been a huge part of my life. I think like one of the major disciplines or habits I have every morning is just like, kind of spending time in the Word. So I'm getting my mind right, praying and things like that. And then, that allows me to kind of reorient my day and perspective so that I can go out and actually accomplish the things I want to accomplish. So like, we had a pretty regimented plan when we were in high school together, working out and building good habits and working out after practice or before school, after school, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So, um, I think, and a good habit, this is maybe not the answer to that question, is just creating a plan, has been important for me. Is like, if I have an off season, I want to work out this because I want to improve on that, so that I'm not just going out there. I think you can just go work out really hard and have no real like, um, vision for how you want to get better, and sometimes that won't serve you. So, I think the habit of kind of creating a plan and having a vision for how you want to improve is a very important, habit, to have.
And that's a perfect answer, because everything you do is well planned out and thought out. Every summer, we pretty much get back to the home city together and we line up our
Yep.
workouts and all that good stuff. And I pretty much just follow your workout, and you have a different plan or what you need to work on every summer, because obviously you're seeing different things on the court and you're being presented with different
Yeah.
opportunities. So everything is planned out at the beginning of summer. You're working on specific move or look or read pretty much every summer. So
Yeah,
a
and
plan.
you're involved with training at this stage in your life. So like, you also understand, like, when you see a kid, you wanting to help a kid, like, part of being good at that, and I think like actually serving that client, if you will,
Mhm.
is having a vision for how they're going to improve. So for me personally, it's like understanding my weaknesses so that I can then use the off season to improve on those, as well as like continue to improve on the strengths that actually matter. Because there's certain weaknesses I have that I'm not really improving. Like, I'm not really worried about my post game. Like, I'm
Right.
never going to find myself in those situations, but I am going to continue to improve on like pick and roll decision making or pick and roll scoring and things like that. That maybe I have, a lot of room to improve on. And then I think it also carries over to, like, if I ever get into coaching and things like that, is like understanding what that person or that player, where he needs to improve, and then like implementing that in a training session.
Exactly. Exactly. This question was going to come a little bit later, but you're kind of um, touching on it a little bit in your answer. So I'm just going to swing it up a little bit. But how big of a role is faith in your life?
Yeah,
How-
that's a huge part of my life. I would probably say the most important part, and has like maybe the majority role
Mm-hmm.
in my life. I think it's given me purpose. It's given me belief and the confidence I need to like go out and accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, as well as not. I think it's helped me. If you're talking about the discouragement question, like if I didn't have my faith in the Lord and His plan for my life, I think that discouragement could have affected me a lot more. So like people that don't have that, like I respect that you know don't find that discouragement. But for me, it's kind of like where my identity is. That's the biggest thing I think, is that it reminds me where my identity is, and so like whether I have a bad game or a good game, like I know that the Lord loves me and that He's got a plan for my life, and um, that things are much greater in His scheme of life than individual game or individual bad
Yes, sir. All glory to God in the good
game.
and bad
Amen.
situations.
For sure.
Ambition, determination, and dedication. Which out of these do you feel will take you further in life in terms of success? Like if you can only choose
I
one of
like this question. I like this question. So I mean, you obviously you need all three
mm-hmm.
ideally, but which one's most important?
and
I just
and
don't.
they all kind of tie in more or less, but like I said, if you can only take one
No,
over.
but they're different. Like, because you can be a determined person with no ambition, or you can be an ambitious person and
Okay,
have no
yeah.
determination. And like that was my thought, was like I can have all the ambitions in the world, but if I had no determination, like none of that would ever get accomplished, right? Because I could want to be, this big time basketball player or whatever, but if I didn't have the determination to continue to like fight for that on a daily basis, like I'm not even going to make it as a 1 year pro. So
Right.
um, I think determination is the most important thing. Like I just think back to like let's talk about high school again. Like we were both very determined to continue playing past high
Mm-hmm.
school, or even we were very determined to not let the school, or not the school, the local newspaper saying we were going to be last in league be true.
Right.
So what did we do? We worked on a daily. We had ambition. We knew what we wanted to prove that wrong, and to have a good season, and put one on for the record for RBV. But like we had the determination to work daily, in practice, out of practice, off season, in season, so that became a reality. So I think that just that quality of determination will serve you in like so many areas of life, as well as like so many seasons of life.
For sure, that's a good answer. I can never personally answer that question because I feel like that answer is definitely valid. But if you have no dedication, like how are you gonna stay down in the grind like 30
Agreed.
days? But
Agreed. And you're an ambitious dude. Like I feel like that's something I've learned from you, is like you just have
mhm.
very strong ambition. You've got strong belief, and you like know what you want to accomplish. Sometimes I'm kind of like, for those that don't know, I missed a whole year of professional basketball because just some things happened. Like didn't have the right job, agent situation wasn't perfect, and so like I kind of was just starting to do my own thing, like teaching and um, delivering food and just whatever, finding ways to just make a little bit of money and have fun with friends. And like
Right.
I kind of lost my ambition until I had a job just open up randomly, and then I got my ambition back. And so all that to say that like you're a dude who that's inspired me with the way he's ambitious and actually believes and sees a vision for what he wants to accomplish, and goes and does that.
Appreciate that, Brody. What is the biggest sacrifice that has helped you reach your goals thus far?
Man, that's a tough question. I think so. Like this changes again. Like I think in high school, we both sacrificed a lot of like comfort and social time, if you will, to
Mhm.
just work on the craft. I think right now, like I just have goals over here of like, one of my goals is to play in the first division in Spain. So part of that is sacrificing like a lifestyle, or the fact that I have to be away from family for 9 months out of the year seems like a huge sacrifice. Like when I think of the biggest sacrifice, I think about that. Like I love San Diego. I love my family. And like, I see a future, like wanting to have my own family and all of that in the States, hopefully in San Diego, if the Lord wills it. So I feel like I'm like right now I'm sacrificing that for some goals right now, but I also like recognize that this is where the Lord has me, and it's a season, and things change. So, I think ultimately the biggest sacrifice is probably just comfort and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of sacrifices that not even professional, for sure, professional athletes, but just elite, successful people or just people in general make a lot of sacrifices. So being overseas and
Absolutely.
away from your family is up there.
I think of Danny, another guy on our high school basketball team, like that dude sacrificed, like when he got out of college, that dude was working like 60, 70, some 80-hour weeks. So he was
Dang.
sacrificing a lot of comfort, a lot of sleep, a lot of things like that to like get himself in a position where he'd be like a successful businessman. And that's what he did. So and I'm not saying that's everyone's like ideal life or successful life, but that was something that he like was ambitious and determined about and got it done and that he enjoyed ultimately, which I think is important.
Shout out Danny, my my boy Dan the man. My boy Dan the man. I like this next question right here. I'm excited to hear your answer for it. Are your decisions based on ooh, are your decisions driven by passion or fear?
Passion for sure. I think I know people that could say like the whole fear of losing thing. Like I just don't want to lose, and I'm like that. I hate losing. I'd rather
Mhm.
not lose. But I just don't know if you can operate on that long term. Because like I think about from a basketball perspective, like if I'm afraid of losing and like those thoughts of the fear of losing or even just fear in general, fear of failure are in your head, like I think that's got to be like a negative mindset to have and to bring into a situation. Like if I'm going to take the last shot in the game and I'm afraid of failure, like that fear might actually like
Oh,
prohibit me from overcome like the whole
yeah,
desire to win.
yeah.
And so like I want to operate out of passion because this is how I believe God created us. It's like he's given me an opportunity and he built me for this moment of this opportunity. He's given me the gifts and the strength to go and do it. Like there's nothing to lose. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather think that way than think I have everything to lose. I can't mess up. I just feel like that's too restrictive.
I agree. It's no fun to live like that in fear or just looking over your shoulder or just with that doubt. So I
Right,
definitely agree with
right.
that. So I know you're a pretty spiritual person, but what are your thoughts on manifestation?
Ooh, manifestation. I mean, I feel like that this word's been hijacked by people time and time again. And like, if you go on Twitter, like people are manifesting like $5,000 tomorrow, and like God bless you, but like that doesn't it just doesn't work like that. And
Right.
um, so from that sense, I just don't believe in it. But do I believe that like positive mindset and belief in yourself, not really in yourself, but belief in like belief in yourself, belief in what God's given you and the skills and the opportunities to accomplish it like can serve you absolutely. Like I think from a sports perspective, like I didn't manifest that I wanted to play Division 1, but that was something I continued to aim for and make a goal and like set the plan in action to go and accomplish that. Now that still almost didn't happen, and the Lord made a way possible that I didn't even see happening. So that's why it's hard for me to say like I 100% believe in manifestation, because I just think so much of life is out of our control, and so much of it is like just kind of rolling with the punches or rolling with the opportunities that are given to you. But I do think there's something to be said about this positivity of like believing in maybe even just saying out loud what you want to accomplish or where you want to go with it, the vision, so that you could then lay down the groundwork to go and accomplish that and work for it. If that makes sense.
Does make sense. You touched on almost not playing Division 1 basketball, and you mentioned how you didn't play a year of pro basketball and you're kind of just doing other callings. So this definitely ties into the next segment. Everyone loves success stories, easy to relate to. A lot of people are front runners. So kind of just want to talk about the complete opposite when things aren't going so good, when you're down
Yeah.
and out. How do we bounce back out of those situations? So if you instantly lost everything, what's the first step you
Mm.
would take to get it all back?
Wow, man. Okay, you sent me this question too, and I was like, man, I don't have an answer for this question. I was like, I'm hoping it's gonna pop off my head when you ask it. I'm gonna go in a weird direction with this.
Hmm.
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would try to get it back. So here's my thought on this. And this is like you said earlier, I'm a very spiritual person,
Yeah,
and
please
faith's a very
elaborate.
important and faith's a very important part of my role or part of my life. I think if I want to operate in this world with kind of an open hand policy towards God, if that makes sense. Basically, to say, like, if he takes away whatever, not necessarily he's going to take it away, but
Right.
whatever I have gets taken away and I still have him, I want to be content in that.
Hmm.
And so if he takes away my basketball career, he takes away a certain amount of money, or if something happens in life where I lose something I worked for or felt like I worked for, then I think rather than try to get it back, I would just find my identity again in God and say, all right, Lord, what's next? And so I guess to answer that question, as well as my first step, my first step would be like, all right, Lord, where do I go now? And like, what skills do I still have? What opportunities are still in front of me? And I would go and basically start over and just be like, all right, time for ambition, determination, dedication, because now it's, I don't have what I used to have, but I can go create something, or I can go work for something that I never had before, and it might be greater. So I don't know if that's answering your question, but that
Yeah.
just comes from like a spiritual side of me that's saying, like, I don't want things to control my life to where I want that thing more than I want maybe the process or the journey that it took to get there. Because I think looking back on some of those situations in my life, it was actually the journey getting to these moments that I wanted to accomplish that was far greater than even just playing Division 1. It was like the fact that the Lord brought me through this crazy path to get there was like, that's something I look back with fond memories and like just feel blessed about.
I used to think it was just the same, but it's really amazing how like the beauty's in the journey, like the beauty,
Yeah,
like getting
it
there in
sounds
the
corny, but it's
yeah,
real.
yeah. It's crazy. Like all these things we hear as a kids, we think parents are just saying it or it's just whatever, but it's
Because in
really
that
real.
moment, right, you're like, I don't see how this is going to work out. And so you're dealing with all these thoughts. You're like, I'm just going to still keep working and hope that it does. And so then when it finally does, you look back on those moments you didn't give up, and you're like, man, I feel stronger because of it.
Hmm. You mentioned that you're a spiritual person, so if you lost everything, that's kind of how you would do. You would kind of look to the Lord and see what He has next for you, or see what direction He wanted you to go in. If you were to push through your lowest times and you go to ask for the Lord's calling, do you kind of have a group around you or look for a mentor,
Yeah,
so to say? Or, yeah.
this is important. This might be the most important thing to go back on success. Like, I think just having community around you is so important. I didn't know. Again, this is where the journey is so important. I didn't recognize this. Like, I always had you, but even then, like, you went to Texas, I was in San Diego, then Poland, and so like we weren't always that close as we were in that senior year, my senior year, your junior year. Like, that
Yeah.
was iron sharpens iron to a T. Of like, we just pushed each other to both get way better. But the year that in between Poland and my first year in Spain, like, I finally recognized the importance of having a community of people around you. For me, it was the church
Hmm.
that really sharpened me as a person and prepared me for this next season of life, for where I could actually be a pro and a successful one here in Spain. So like, moving forward the rest of my life, like, community is going to be a very, very important part. Basically, to say you can't do this life on your own. You need people around you to encourage you, as well as to pick you up when things aren't going well, or even keep you accountable when you're slacking off or not doing the right thing.
Exactly. And we kind of touched on this earlier, but do you have anything more to add to this? What does failure mean to you? Like, we kind of talked about how it's never
Cool.
really a failure if you don't bounce back from it. But do you have anything more to add to that?
I would just say failure to me is not necessarily like the worldly sense. Like, a lot of people will say anyone but the Lakers were failures last year. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. Like, the
Yeah.
Clippers were failures last year. Where Paul George had a comment saying that's not true. Um, I think failure is, because the reality is we're all going to face adversity sometime in our life. If you look at just the craziness of 2020, like, there were so many things that were heartbreaking, that were difficult, and that brought like just pain or hurt or suffering to so many different people in the course of one year, that you just have to recognize that there's a lot in this world that is wrong, and that unfortunately, like, we have to deal with daily or just seasonally. And so failure, I think, is allowing those moments of adversity to let you quit, or to lead you to quit. Um, Not to say that, like, maybe you do like leave a certain dream and go follow something else, but like, I think if you get to a place of like, I just don't see, I'm gonna let this adversity stop me, even though like I could push through to meet his family. Like thinking of my own life, if I were to let those moments of, oh, no Division I team wants me, I'm just going to give up on basketball, that would have been a failure for me, in my opinion. Not to say I couldn't have gone and done something else that was great or
Right.
great for the Lord, but to say that, like, I think that would have been me failing the gift that God had given me, because it means I didn't trust Him and I didn't trust the abilities He'd given me, and so um, I'm thankful for the adversity because I actually think it made me work harder and stronger because of it.
Yep. The greats, the elite athletes never give up. They never give up. Is a life that focuses on avoiding pain and seeking out pleasure a good and worthwhile life? Why or why not?
This is a good question. I guess I just don't think you can avoid pain. You know what I mean? Like if you're like I just said, like 2020, man. Like if you didn't experience some type of pain or suffering or struggle, like what kind of life? Like that's an incredible. I can't even imagine that. But so I just don't think you can. Like, yeah, I don't think it is worthwhile because I think when I look back on my life, it's those moments of difficulty, of adversity, and sometimes even pain that I grew the strongest and led me to like the next breakthrough, if you will, or the next great opportunity or the next like goal accomplished. Not to say I go and like seek out pain, like I want pain in my life,
Right.
but from a training perspective, like if I'm not pushing my body to a level of discomfort, then I'm probably not getting any better. Not always necessarily true because there is something about rest and recovery and all of that.
Right.
But from just a purely training perspective, like you do want to push your body to a new level of comfort so that you can then, continue to increase your like endurance and whatnot. So like I don't want to live a life that's just trying to avoid pain and only live for pleasure. And the Bible speaks about that. Like that man's a fool who only loves pleasure and doesn't know how to handle pain and grow from pain.
Mm-hmm. Earlier, you said you wanted to. A goal of yours was to play in the top division in Spain. You're playing in there now. A lot of people salute anyone that's still playing past the age of 23, 20, like just the mid 20s. What is your why? Like, what keeps you going to just
Question.
keep waking up every day to get better, just year after year, summer after summer?
Again, I think my why comes back to the faith component. I think that
Mm-hmm.
I really believe God gave me an ability and opportunity, and so I don't know how He's going to use it. I don't know if it means just having an impact on somebody's life over here, or it means continuing to play into my 30s. I have no idea because I do think your why changes. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
with
Sure.
each season. Like one day, I hope my why is for my family, or whatever that may be. But right now, my why for sure is just like I've been given such a unique opportunity. Like I feel like I'd be wasting it if I didn't wake up every day with like ambition, determination, and dedication to go get it. Like and to work hard and make the most of it. Because like you said, like this is like I'm getting to live a dream that many people would love to, and I'm getting to. You played overseas, like the experience of getting to leave the United States for a little bit and learn about another culture and um, experience things that not everyone else gets the opportunity is so unique that I feel like I'd be wasting that opportunity if I didn't
Mm-hmm.
um, get up every morning grateful and opportunistic.
And that's funny that you say that, the last part, but I like how you said that your why changes all the time. Because I remember in middle school, I would always, well, in middle school, your answer was you never wanted to play pro. Like, I was like, bro, you want to play pro basketball one day? You're like, man, if that's God, if that's my calling from God, or like, you just never told me, yeah. And I'm like, bro, if you don't want to
Yeah.
play pro, like, how I'm gonna play pro? Like, you better than me. That used to really discourage me. Like, that's not your goal. Like, like, what am I supposed to do? So that's funny that you said your why changes because your why did change, and that was not your why at
For
that
sure.
time. So that's,
For sure. And I think I was only saying that out of like some false humility because trust me, Doug, I always wanted to play pro. I was like, I don't know if I have what it takes. We're so young. I was like,
right.
that might have been me being more insecure back then of being like, I don't know if I can do it. And I think that's where I thank the Lord for the adversity because then I was like, oh, I don't care if this is the whole failure versus passion thing is like, I don't care if I fail. You know what I mean? Like if I can fail on my journey to like wanting to accomplish these things, but who cares? Like I still have a purpose and identity that's far greater than whatever happens in basketball. So it freed me up to just go pursue with passion the things that I love.
Gotcha. And it was also hard because it's different now for kids growing up. But when we were coming up, from what I can remember, we didn't really have like any pros that we can either talk to or like accessible things like that. And now
At
Charlie does a good job of kind of keeping that pipeline to where they can talk to you, Justin, and anyone, just any other pros now. So I think it's a little
Nah,
bit.
man, Chuck was big time with that, and I think that's why I'm so proud of what he's put on. And I guess specifically North County, but really, I mean, they got guys all over San Diego.
Yeah.
It's great for the city, and it's great for young talent. And my opinion is like there's a lot of good basketball players in San Diego, probably more now than just about ever. So
Heck yeah. All right, this is my favorite question by far. No doubt about it. What what is your most memorable lesson that you learned from your parents? And
that's a good
this is
question.
my favorite question because for those that don't know, this is my real brother. This is my real brother for the record right here. Johnny's my real
It's
brother.
true.
His parents are
Facts.
my real second family. Shout out moms and pops, Jackie and Donnie. Before you answer this, before you answer this, touch on what pops got going on down there in San Diego.
Yeah.
I still need to make it down there and check it out, but kind of touch on that because I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Yeah, my dad's I guess, the president of a homeless shelter in San Diego called the San Diego Rescue Mission. And so they have an overnight shelter for women and children that just come at like, I think they get there at 7 at night and leave by like 9 a.m. the next morning, and it just provides them a place to stay, as well as a program. I think the biggest part they run is this program for people who live on the streets. It's like a 13-month program where they have an opportunity to get right, whether that means spiritually, off addiction or whatever it may be, and ideally like to get them ready to go back in the world, hopefully get a job and then lead a successful life. And I think that's part of the program, is teaching them what that means and how to go about that, and kind of really just keeping people in community, because that's like the reality of living in a homeless shelter. So really proud of what he's got going down there. Totally worth your time if you ever make it down. To answer the question, this is a tough question because I've obviously learned a lot from my parents. And like, I think right now, one of the most, and it's not going to be my answer, but one of the most important things I'm learning from them, because I just think I value relationships more now than I ever have in my life, is seeing their relationship and their marriage. And like, I have a very serious girlfriend, so it's like seeing the relationship they have is inspirational and a lesson of like what I want, and something that I aspire to. So that's a huge one. And then number two, I think, since we're talking about sports, it's been a big part of this podcast, is that I feel like from a very young age, my dad played professional football, for those that know, Colts and Seahawks. So he was successful in that sense. He told me not to let sports, he said to use sports, don't let sports use you. Basically to say that like there's plenty of people that have allowed sports to like become their whole life, and control them, to where when they did step away or when things didn't go well, like they lost everything and they couldn't bounce back, or they just have no identity or no joy in life. And so I feel like that's allowed me to have this perspective that's kind of more fearless and free, I guess would be the better word, of like, I want to use sports to say that like, hey, I'm not guaranteed I can play tomorrow. I could have a crazy injury that derails my career, like knock on wood or whatever, but I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. But that could happen. Like, I'm not guaranteed the opportunity to play tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed the opportunity to play next season. Like, COVID ruined a lot of careers, a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. So like, I recognize that. And if sports becomes an idol in my life or something that's controlling me, then I'm going to miss out on the beauty of the day, the opportunity I've been given, as well as like the freedom to just continue to improve. And that, like, no matter what, like the Lord's got my back, and I'm going to find something to do and something I love.
Good answer. And before we move on, shout out to sister Johnny Dee. She gonna kill one of us if we don't give her shout out. All right, I got a few more questions for you. Shout out to sister. A few more questions for you, then you are on with your day, my brother. One change that someone can make right now in their life to reach their goals.
I think this one is create a plan, man. And I get some people aren't plan makers, but like, I just think that, or just have a vision. create a vision and the disciplines to accomplish that thing, because I think that I'm a quality over quantity guy, and that's like and you understand, like the older you get, the less your body is like able to do. So you can't just like work out hours upon hours. You got to find a way to like make the quality of your workouts more than the quantity of your workouts. So
No doubt.
have a vision and go accomplish it that way.
Dang, you just said something I wanted to touch on. Okay. As far as goal setting goes, are you a little goal, little wins type of person, or you just kind of make your big wins and kind of
Good question.
attack them periodically?
I don't know. I think I'm a little bit of both. Like, there's definitely some little wins, and like, for example, my goal for 3 years in Spain was to make it to the first division of Spain. So there were a lot of little wins along the way.
Right.
There was just starting. There was being on a winning team. There was finding a role with 12. When I played with Betis, we had 12 good players. So it's like find a way to be an impact player with 12 other good players around you. Because the year before it was like 4 good players, and it was a lot easier to just be like the main scorer. So it's like adjusting and things like that were little wins for me. I think I've always been more of a big picture guy, in the sense of like, I knew I wanted to play Division I basketball. I knew I wanted to continue playing pro. And I just did the little things, and that was always in my mind of how to go accomplish that. But I definitely celebrate the little wins, because I think that's very important on the journey, is like, celebrating any win you can get.
For sure. Celebrate all wins. Speaking of celebrating all wins, what is your favorite moment or most memorable moment from high school, college, and your professional career so far?
Man, I don't know. It's tough not to go with beating Gonzaga for me, just because like they were top 25, it was on ESPN, their fans rushed the court, great experience. For what it's worth though, like, I didn't hit any game winners in college. I've hit quite a few as a pro, and like those have been very fun moments. My parents got to see one last year, so like that's a moment I'll never forget. They got to see one game in the last 2 years, and they were at the game I hit one. And I think high school too, man. Like the night we beat El Camino to win league, and you and I were going off was like we were both cramping in the fourth quarter. We were like, "Yo, one of us got to get back in the game." Like,
they came all the way back.
Yeah, like, I mean, that was like, I'll never forget that. I was looking over at you. We're both getting stretched out because we got cramps. Like, yo, bro, we got to get in the game. But we won.
So is that game, that's my favorite game of yours?
That's my favorite high school game for sure.
Okay.
It would have been Torrey Pines if we beat them clowns this freaking one time.
Yeah, clowns for real. I'm gonna throw a clip right here where my face is, but El Camino versus RBV at El Camino. 50, what you have, 55 or 52?
51.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say 55, but now my boy had 51. He had 21 in the first quarter, the craziest first quarter I've ever seen. Dude stole the ball one play, literally just front pivoted and just shot the ball. He didn't care where he was.
Shout Mookie, right in Mookie Beard's face, if I recall.
Yeah, shout out Mookie.
Shout out Mookie.
And your dad wasn't even at the game. Like, Pops wasn't even at the game. Yeah, not yet. Neither of them. Crazy.
No, but the San Diego coaches were there, and that was the day that Coach Burns told me, like, "Hey, we're gonna get you here one way or the other." So,
shout out to Burns, but I don't know how they're not offering after that game. Like, they need to take offer and just give you 3. Like how much? Favorite? Okay, was your favorite pro moment the game winner in front of your parents, or?
No, my favorite pro moment was winning a championship with Real Betis my first year. I felt like that moment of like winning something with a group, having like a goal and getting it done, and then getting to celebrate that with like, you're popping champagne in the locker room and all that was so fun. And so that I'll never forget.
And you won it back to back after that. But your first year, that was kind of your first big big one like that, huh?
That's the first time I've been on like a winning team since
Yeah.
Rancho. Like, I
Us,
mean,
yeah.
I had a couple winning seasons in the USD, but we never cracked top 3 in the West Coast Conference. So this is the first time like I won a championship since like high school.
And they say the first one's better. The first one's always the best one. So that first feeling, which is unbelievable to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, the second one's a little weird because we were co-champions because of COVID. It's still a championship in my opinion, and we got to go up, so like, I don't really care. But yeah, the first one was special.
Okay, so we seen the Last Dance came out a little bit ago, the whole back-to-back thing. So was it harder or was the grind any different trying to repeat as it was to
Oh,
get that first one? Like, was there a big target on you guys were running through the league, so there was obviously a big target on y'all back, right?
yeah, but I mean, here's what was weird. So that year we went 30-4 the year we won it all, and the next best
First
team was
year?
like first year they were
Okay.
24-6. We won 18 in a row league record like
Wow.
in the history of the league. So like no one touched us. So then like we're like, all right, who's going to go up with that team? And they only took like 3 guys, and then where are the rest of the guys going to go? We all basically went to different teams. So it was like, whose team is going to go up and win? And so
Okay.
there was like a little pressure, like I want my team to go and win to prove, like this was a better
Yeah.
team. So, um, and we didn't get to finish the season the way it should have, but
Right.
we were tied for first when the season ended, and we had a really good like group of guys last year that just competed. Like we weren't all that talented. We weren't the most talented team in the league, but we freaking played hard and played like dogs. So
Guys were all bought in.
um, yeah, I think that from that perspective, like I actually had a bigger role last year than I did the year before. But part of that was because of injuries and whatnot. So
Gotcha. And on this show, we're obviously still striving for success. We haven't plateaued or reached the pinnacle in any which way, but we are successful to an extent as we have made it out somewhere and we are still doing our thing. So, fitting that criteria, who would you say I should have as a future guest?
before I answer that, if I may say, I am extremely proud of you, my brother, because you've had this vision for SB for a long time. It's
Hmm.
been who you are since high school. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, you want to talk about like a legacy and a reputation. Like it's followed you, and no matter what you do, you work harder than just about anybody I know, and I've always respected that about you. And I'm proud of just all that you're doing, especially in this brand realm,
that's
and all that you will continue to do. So salute to you, my
that's love,
brother.
bro. Appreciate that.
Who would I? Man, this is another hard question because like there's obviously so many people, but I wanted to go with like maybe a different type of answer.
Hmm.
First, my answer was going to be Charlie because I do think you need to have him on here at some point. Um,
I agree.
but I was gonna stick with RBV and go with Coach Morris
Ooh,
because I just think that dude's full of wisdom, and I think he'd be a good interview. And I've never really walked away from Coach Morris not feeling like this dude's just on fire and like a great dude, and it's fired me up because like he's one of the greatest motivators I've ever been around. So I think speaking about success bound and pushing people to like work and strive for success,
hmm.
he fits that perfectly.
I gotta see if I have enough memory and time in a day for that one. We gonna talk.
That's gonna be
We gonna talk for like 4 hours.
that conversation gonna be long for sure.
Shout out Coach Morris though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to. Those are both. Charlie would be great, and Coach Morris, I'm gonna have to for sure get on here. So
I love
yeah.
the wisdom of older people, you know what I mean? Like obviously
Mm-hmm.
there's still some young cats, like Justin Simon would be another great one just from a young cat perspective. But
Yep.
I would love to hear what both of them have to say.
Cool. All right. So as we wrap this up, just kind of talk about what's next for you. I know you're in season, so if it's just focusing on the rest of the season, or if you have anything coming up that we don't really know
Yeah.
about, touch on that.
What's next for me, man? Get back to work. I got to start playing a little bit better. So, um, watch some film today. Get back in the gym tomorrow, and go from there. And just continue to be grateful for the opportunity, but not complacent. And then yeah, that's this season's. It's a long one, so still got plenty of time to turn this thing around.
Yes, sir. Good luck to you, man. I have full confidence
Appreciate you, my brother.
you'll make it happen. So just kind of shout yourself out. Tell us where we can find you on social media so that people
I
can continue to keep
have
up with you.
I have Instagram. I think it's my first name, last name, Johnny Dee 1, and then Twitter is I think it's backwards, D E 1, and then Johnny. something like that.
That's
I think you
still,
just type my name in, you go find both. I think so.
hey,
I don't
I'll find him
know.
and plug him. I'll
Okay,
find him and plug him.
appreciate that. That was the worst plug ever. I just kidding. So.
Bro, it's time for a new Twitter name though. Like the D1 Johnny was
I
clever.
agree.
It was clever when you was D1 Johnny, when you was D1.
But now I'm
Yeah.
28. Well, first division Spain still kind of works, right?
Okay, finally. Cool. Yes, that's pretty much all I have for you, man. That's a wrap. Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
again for taking the time on your day off to bless
Of
us
course.
with some knowledge and your presence on this podcast.
Thank you, my guy. I appreciate you having me on. It was an honor to get to chop it up with you.
Yep. Good luck to you. Make sure you guys tune in.
Thank you, bro.
SB.